What if I told you the money you use every single day isn't real? Real? Not fake, like counterfeit, but manufactured, manipulated, and controlled by forces you've never seen. Every note in your wallet, every number in your bank app. It's part of a global illusion, one that decides who gets rich and who stays trapped. This isn't a story about one country or one currency. This is the story of world money. How it was created, how it grew out of control, and how it now dictates the fate of nations, governments, and you. Section 1. Las 0:45. Las 2. The origins. When money was real before the illusion, money meant something. For thousands of years, value was tied to something tangible: gold, silver, land, or labor. The ancient world traded things of intrinsic worth. But in 1944, everything changed. Representatives from 44 nations met in a quiet mountain town called Bretton Woods. The world had just survived 2 devastating wars, and leaders wanted stability, so they built a system. The US dollar would be tied to gold, and every other major currency would be tied to the dollar. It sounded fair, predictable, safe. But what started as a solution became the blueprint for control. Section 2. Las 3:30. The rise. When debt replaced gold by the 1970s, the system cracked. America had spent billions on wars and social programs it couldn't afford. Gold reserves were running out. Then in 1971, President Nixon made a quiet announcement that changed everything. The dollar would no longer be backed by gold. And just like that, money became a promise, not a product. Value became belief. From that day forward, governments could print money out of thin air. Banks could multiply it through loans, and debt, once a burden, became the new form of wealth. Section 32332, 5 o'clock. The breaking point. When money became power, once the link to gold disappeared, the floodgates opened. Trillions in new money poured into global markets. Corporations borrowed endlessly to buy back their own stocks. Governments borrowed to pay for promises. And ordinary people borrowed just to keep up. The rich didn't get richer by working harder. They got richer because the system rewarded debt over discipline. Meanwhile, every printed dollar made your existing dollars worth a little less. Inflation wasn't an accident, it was the plan. Money itself became a tool of control, not a measure of value. Section 4 to 5. O'clock to 6:30, the fallout. Crises that never end. Every few years, the system shakes. Each time, the story repeats. Markets crash, governments panic, and central banks save the world by printing more money. But every rescue makes the next disaster worse. The total global debt has now surpassed $315 trillion. That is more than 3 times the size of the entire world economy. The system survives, not because it's stable, but because it can't afford to stop. Section 5 to 632, 8 o'clock. The failed fixes and modern parallels today. We're told technology will fix everything. Digital currencies, central bank tokens, crypto, the new buzzwords of modern finance. But beneath the surface, the same old game continues. Control is shifting from paper to data, from wallets to algorithm, and from governments to the invisible hands of digital institutions. Even inflation is being redefined. When money can be created by code, the very concept of value dissolves. It's not that the system is broken, it's that it was never meant to make you wealthy. Section 6. Las 8. Las 9. The hidden pattern. Why it keeps repeating. Every financial empire in history, from Rome to Britain to the modern US dollar, follows the same pattern. Build trust, expand credit, inflate wealth, collapse under its own weight. And when it falls, those who control the narrative simply rebuild the illusion under a new name. The world's money doesn't disappear. It just changes hands. Section 7. Las 9:-1, las 0 takeaways. Warning. Call to action. So what can we learn from the system behind world money? First, real wealth isn't printed. It's built. Skills, assets, and knowledge hold their value when currencies don't. Second, Debt can be useful, but only if you control it, not the other way around. Third, the more you understand how money works, the harder it becomes for anyone to control you with it. The illusion only works if people believe it's real. The moment we question it, the spell begins to break. So ask yourself, who really benefits from the system we're told to trust? And if the next reset is coming, will you be ready? If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe, share this video, and stay tuned. Because next, we're uncovering who actually profits when world money collapses. E&D, 10 o'clock, plus world, money exposed. Because the truth isn't in your wallet. It's in the system that created it.